Have you ever wondered how one decision, one single choice, can change the destiny of an entire family? Not because of money, not because of power, but because someone chose love over wealth. They say, a man who has everything fears only one thing: losing control. And when pride becomes more valuable than family, even a palace can become a prison. This is the story of a billionaire father who believed money could buy obedience, until the day he stood outside the gate of the son he had rejected, begging for a second chance. But before we begin, tell us where you're watching from. And if you enjoy powerful stories filled with life lessons, love, betrayal, and redemption, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Now, let the story begin. In the bustling city of Lagos, where luxury skyscrapers pierced the clouds and convoys of expensive cars ruled the streets, one name commanded respect wherever it was mentioned: Chief Adewale Balogun, business tycoon, real estate billionaire, chairman of one of Africa's largest investment groups. Politicians sought his approval. International investors competed for his attention. Bank managers stood whenever he entered the room. His signature alone could create millionaires overnight. To the world, he appeared unstoppable. But inside his magnificent mansion, hidden behind marble walls and golden chandeliers, there was one battle money could never win: his only son, Daniel Balogun. Unlike his father, Daniel cared very little for wealth. He had attended the best universities abroad. He understood finance. He knew how to negotiate billion-dollar deals. But his greatest passion wasn't business, it was people. While his father expected him to spend weekends meeting investors, Daniel spent his Saturdays visiting orphanages, while Chief Adewale hosted lavish dinners for politicians. Daniel volunteered in rural schools. The difference between father and son grew larger with every passing year. Chief Adewale often warned him, "Kindness does not build empires." Daniel would simply smile, "No, father, but it builds people." Those words irritated the old billionaire more than any financial loss ever could. To him, compassion was weakness, power demanded sacrifice, and feelings had no place in business. Then, everything changed. It happened on a rainy afternoon. Daniel had been driving through a remote village outside Ibadan after inspecting farmland his father intended to purchase. Suddenly, the heavy rain forced him to stop near a small roadside school. As he stepped out of his car, he heard laughter, not from wealthy children wearing expensive uniforms, but from barefoot pupils crowded inside a tiny classroom with a leaking roof. Curious, Daniel walked closer. Inside stood a young woman teaching mathematics with nothing more than a piece of chalk and an old blackboard. Her dress was simple. Her shoes were worn. The classroom had broken windows, yet every child watched her with complete admiration. Her name was Amara. She was the village's only teacher. When she noticed Daniel standing by the door, she smiled warmly. "I'm sorry," she said. "The rain probably trapped you." Daniel nodded. "I didn't mean to interrupt." The children quickly offered him a seat. One little boy even wiped the old wooden chair before he sat down. Daniel couldn't remember the last time anyone had welcomed him without knowing his surname. For the first time in years, he felt invisible. Not as the billionaire's son. Just Daniel. After the lesson ended, Amara thanked him for waiting. "I'm afraid this village doesn't have much to offer visitors." Daniel looked around. The roof leaked. The desks were cracked. Books were shared between 4 students. And yet, every child wore the brightest smile. "You have more than many rich schools," Daniel replied. "You have hope." Amara laughed softly. "Hope doesn't repair roofs." "No," Daniel answered, "but it teaches children to dream beyond them." From that day, he returned every weekend, sometimes carrying books, sometimes carrying food, sometimes simply listening to the children's stories. Weeks became months, and slowly, without either of them planning it, friendship became love. But love has a strange way of finding the people least prepared for it. One evening, Daniel drove Amara to the hill overlooking the village. The sunset painted the sky with shades of gold and crimson. He reached into his pocket. Not for an expensive diamond, not for a grand display, just a simple silver ring. "Amara," he said quietly, "I cannot promise you the easiest life." She smiled. "You don't need to. I can only promise to stand beside you." Tears gathered in her eyes. "And I will stand beside you." She placed the ring on her finger. Far below, the village children cheered after secretly watching the proposal from behind the trees. It was the happiest day of Daniel's life, but it was also the beginning of his greatest trial. Because news travels quickly, especially when it involves the family of a billionaire. Within 48 hours, Chief Adewale summoned his son to the mansion. The atmosphere inside his study felt colder than any courtroom. The old billionaire sat silently behind his massive mahogany desk. A newspaper lay open before him. On the front page, a single photograph. Daniel, holding Amara's hand in the village. Chief Adewale slowly removed his glasses. His voice remained calm. Almost too calm. "Tell me, is this newspaper lying?" Daniel took a deep breath. "No, Father." Silence. Then another question. "Do you love her?" Daniel didn't hesitate. "Yes." Chief Adewale leaned back. "And you intend to marry a poor village teacher?" Daniel answered with quiet confidence. "I intend to marry the woman I love." For several long seconds, the room became completely silent. Then the billionaire stood. The crystal glass in his hand shattered against the marble floor. "You are not marrying her." Daniel remained still. "I am. You will choose between this family or that girl." Daniel looked directly into his father's eyes. The answer came without fear. "I already have." Chief Adewale pointed toward the enormous front door. His face burned with anger. "Then leave. Leave this house. Leave this family. And from this moment, you are no longer my son." Daniel stood frozen. Not because he regretted his decision, but because he never imagined those words would come from the man he had spent his whole life trying to make proud. Without another word, he removed the expensive watch his father had given him on his graduation day, placed it gently on the desk, picked up nothing but a small travel bag, and walked out of the mansion forever. As the giant iron gates closed behind him, Chief Adewale believed he had taught his son a lesson. He smiled to himself. He'll come back. He'll realize that love cannot feed a family. But fate had already begun writing a very different ending. Daniel never looked back, not once. Not even when the massive iron gates of the Balogun mansion disappeared in his rearview mirror. He had lost his inheritance, his luxurious home, his expensive cars, and the family name that opened doors across the country. But somehow, he didn't feel poor. Because for the first time in his life, every decision he made belonged to him. The next morning, he arrived in Amara's village carrying only a small travel bag. Amara noticed immediately. She searched his face before asking the question she already knew the answer to. "You told him," Daniel nodded. "He disowned me." Tears gathered in her eyes. "I'm so sorry." Daniel gently took her hands. "Don't apologize. I chose this. I chose you." For a moment, neither of them spoke. The silence carried more love than words ever could. A week later, beneath the shade of an ancient Iroko tree, the entire village gathered to celebrate their wedding. There were no luxury decorations, no famous musicians, no expensive designer suits. The women cooked together. The elders offered blessings. Children danced barefoot through the dusty paths with flowers woven into their hair. Daniel had attended weddings worth millions of dollars, yet none of them felt as rich as this one. That evening, an elderly village chief approached the young couple. He placed his weathered hands on Daniel's shoulders. "My son, gold loses its shine, but a good name lasts longer than generations." Daniel never forgot those words. Life, however, wasn't kind to newlyweds without money. Reality arrived quickly. The small savings Daniel had quietly kept before leaving home disappeared within months. The tiny rented house they shared had a leaking roof. Some nights, they ate only once. Other nights, they simply drank water and laughed about better days ahead. Amara continued teaching children during the day. Daniel searched tirelessly for work. He visited banks, construction companies, real estate firms, technology startups. Every interview ended the same way. The moment employers recognized his surname, their smiles disappeared. Chief Attawale's influence reached everywhere. No one wanted to hire the billionaire's disowned son. Weeks turned into months. Rejection after rejection. One afternoon, Daniel sat alone outside their small house. For the first time, doubt crept into his heart. Not because he regretted marrying Amara, but because he wondered whether love alone could truly build a future. As he stared into the distance, Amara quietly walked outside carrying 2 cups of tea. She handed him one. "I know that look." He forced a smile. "I'm fine," she laughed softly. "No, you're pretending." Daniel sighed deeply. "I keep asking myself, what if my father was right?" Amara looked at him for a long moment. Then she reached into her handbag. Inside were several folded envelopes. "My salary," Daniel frowned. "You've been saving this?" She nodded. "For us?" "You believed in me even when I couldn't believe in myself," Daniel whispered. "I married the richest woman in the world." They both laughed, not because life was easy, but because hope still lived inside their home. That hope would soon change everything. Several weeks later, while helping repair the village school's broken roof, Daniel noticed something. The school had no electricity, no computers, no internet. Yet every child wanted to learn. An idea slowly formed in his mind. Instead of searching endlessly for a job, why not create one? Using the last of their savings, Daniel bought 5 used laptop computers from Lagos. Most people laughed. Who will teach technology in this village? What business can survive here? Even some friends called him foolish. But Amara never doubted him. She helped clean the old classroom. The villagers donated broken tables. A local carpenter repaired chairs for free. The children helped paint the walls. Within 3 weeks, their tiny technology center opened. At first, only 6 students enrolled, then 12, then 20. Soon, parents from neighboring villages began bringing their children. Daniel wasn't just teaching computers, he taught confidence, problem-solving, creativity, dreams. One afternoon, a representative from an international education foundation visited the village unexpectedly. She had heard rumors about a former billionaire's son teaching coding in rural Nigeria. After watching one lesson, she asked only one question. "Who funded this project?" Daniel smiled. "Hope." The woman smiled back. "Then we'd like to invest in hope." 6 months later, the foundation awarded Daniel a grant worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. More learning centers followed, then another, then another. Within 3 years, his organization had trained thousands of young Africans in technology. Several students earned scholarships abroad. Others launched successful businesses. International media began telling his story, not as the billionaire's son, but as the man transforming rural education. Meanwhile, across Lagos, Chief Adewale's empire was beginning to crack. It started quietly. One trusted executive disappeared with millions of dollars. Then a major government contract was canceled. Foreign investors withdrew from several projects. Construction sites stood abandoned. Banks began demanding immediate repayment of massive loans. For the first time in 40 years, the mighty Balogun group was bleeding money. Still, Chief Adewale refused to ask for help. Pride whispered the same lie every morning. I built this empire. I can save it. But every week, things became worse. Employees resigned, lawsuits multiplied, competitors celebrated. One evening, alone inside his enormous mansion, Chief Adewale looked around the dining table that once seated dozens of guests. Now, only one chair was occupied. His. The silence echoed louder than any business meeting. Without realizing it, his eyes drifted toward an old family photograph. It showed a much younger Daniel standing beside him, both smiling. For a brief moment, the billionaire reached toward the frame, then quickly pulled his hand away. No, he made his choice. But somewhere deep inside, a voice he had ignored for years quietly answered, "No, you made yours." And fate was preparing to force father and son into a meeting neither of them would ever forget. Learning centers spread across Nigeria, then Ghana, then Kenya. Thousands of young people from poor communities were learning computer programming, digital design, engineering, and entrepreneurship. International organizations praised the project. Governments invited Daniel to speak at education summits. Foreign investors offered partnerships worth millions. Yet despite his success, Daniel never built a mansion. Instead, he built schools, libraries, scholarship programs. Every new building carried the same inscription at its entrance: "Education is the richest inheritance." Amara remained exactly as she had always been. Simple, kind. She still visited classrooms every morning. She still knew every child's name. She still believed that changing one life at a time could change an entire nation. One afternoon, while Daniel was addressing hundreds of students during the opening ceremony of another learning center, his secretary rushed toward him. "Sir, there's an elderly man at the gate." Daniel smiled politely. "Please ask security to let him in." The secretary hesitated. "I don't think you understand. He refuses to come inside. He says he will wait." Daniel frowned. "Who is he?" The secretary swallowed hard. "He says his name is Chief Adewale Balogun." The world seemed to stop. For a brief second, Daniel forgot the cheering crowd, forgot the cameras, forgot the applause. Only one memory remained: a giant iron gate, slowly closing behind him 5 years earlier. He walked toward the entrance. Every step felt heavier than the last. As he approached the front gate, he saw a man he almost didn't recognize. The once powerful billionaire looked 20 years older. His expensive suits had been replaced with a plain, worn outfit. His shoulders were bent. His hair had turned almost completely gray. The confidence that once intimidated presidents had vanished. Standing beside the gate, Chief Adewale looked up. Their eyes met. Neither man spoke. For nearly a minute, silence carried the weight of 5 painful years. Finally, the old billionaire lowered his head. "I'm sorry." Daniel had imagined this moment many times. He thought he would feel satisfaction, victory, perhaps even revenge. Instead, he felt sadness, because the man standing before him was no longer the giant he had feared as a child. He was simply an old father carrying the burden of his own mistakes. Chief Adewale's voice trembled. "I came to ask for your forgiveness." Daniel remained silent. The old man continued, "My empire is gone. I trusted people who loved my money and pushed away the only person who truly loved me." Tears formed in his tired eyes. "I thought wealth made me powerful. But without my family, I became the poorest man alive." Daniel looked at the ground. The memories came flooding back. The broken glass, the shouting, the words, "You are no longer my son." They still hurt, even after 5 years. "If you cannot forgive me, I will understand. But let me see my grandson." Daniel's eyes widened. "My grandson?" The old man smiled weakly. "I heard you have a little boy." Daniel turned toward the school building. Standing near the entrance, holding Amara's hand, was a cheerful 4-year-old boy. His name was David. The little boy looked curiously at the stranger kneeling by the gate. Children do not understand pride. They understand only kindness. David gently let go of his mother's hand. He walked toward the gate, stopped in front of the old man, and asked, "Why are you crying?" Chief Adewale could no longer hold back his tears. He covered his face. "I made a very big mistake." The little boy thought for a moment, then reached out and hugged him. Just like that. No questions, no anger, no judgment. Only the innocent love of a child. Daniel felt something inside him break. Not his heart, his pride. He remembered something the village elder had told him years before. A good name lasts longer than gold. He walked forward, opened the gate, and stretched out his hand. "Come home." "Father?" Chief Adewale looked up in disbelief. "You still call me father?" Daniel smiled gently. "I never stopped." The old man embraced his son. Both wept openly. Employees applauded. Students wiped away tears. Even the security guards struggled to hide their emotions. Later that evening, the entire family sat together beneath the shade of the same Iroko tree where Daniel and Amara had married. Chief Adewale looked around. Children laughed, teachers shared meals, families celebrated. There were no marble floors, no crystal chandeliers, no billion-dollar board meetings. Yet, he had never seen a richer home. He quietly turned to Amara. "I judged you because you were poor. I never realized you were the one who made my son truly wealthy." Amara smiled. "Wealth isn't measured by what we keep. It's measured by what we give." Years never choose pride over the people who love you, because money can build mansions, power can build empires, but only love can build a family. And sometimes the longest journey a man will ever make isn't across countries or oceans. It's the few humble steps from pride to forgiveness.